Hey all, this is Darren Lee Berry Jr. back with the inaugural Metaphysical Hour. I'll talk about metaphysical topics, UFOs and ETs. I noticed they've been um, sort of coming up in the discussion over the last few weeks. So I figured, okay, well, maybe there's some interest in some metaphysical stuff. I don't know if it's because there's just an interest or maybe somebody noticed some of my previous videos or somebody found my book or something like that. I figured, oh, well, we can some time to talk about that as well. I still have an interest in it, even though for the most part, I feel like I've learned everything the most pressing things I wanted to learn about it or resolve about it. I think I have, even though there's more to learn. And good to see you, the mathematician, and anybody else who joins. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions or comments about anything. And uh, and I'll mostly be talking. I actually have my book up. Uh, Let me see if I can show this a bit better here. A second crop. That seems good enough. Try to expand this. There we go. So that's something I wrote on. Well, and welcome, Alexandria. Good to see you. So we'll be talking about some of the metaphysical things I've been into in the past and still have an interest in, but I've been focused more on established science as of late. What I figure what I'll do is talk a little bit about some of my own experiences. I know mathematician was asking about that. Um, I believe Catherine was asking about that as well, and also share a few of the most interesting ones that I found out about. I mentioned them already, like Fire in the Sky and Riley Martin, but I'll talk about those a bit. But ETs, UFOs, aliens. My perspective is that they exist, that they're real. When I was a kid, you could see this book that's called Travel Far, Beginner's Guide to the Out-of-Body Experiences. And when I was a kid, I started having what's called out-of-body experiences where I would float out of body and things like that and explore the world. And I mean that's a whole discussion in itself and the ways that I explored and how I at least convinced myself that it's real through simple but convincing tests that I did. Um, but one of the things that happened during this experience when I was a kid, I used to uh, uh, become aware in the out of body state, and used to be three beings visiting me uh, near my bed, standing in a sort of quarter circle or half circle, and it will pour information directly into my consciousness. That's the first experience I had of there being some kind of different type of beings. The best way I could describe them is like the gray aliens. So y'all have heard of people talk about grays before. They look like that. And all of the experiences I had, I mentioned up in here. But I'll give you a brief rundown of the experiences. So another period of time, I was very focused on having some kind of contact, and I had read in a few books that there's beings visiting here. They're telepathic. They pick up on your intentions and things like that. So I used to meditate regularly with intentions to have contact. And one day I was driving home from work. At the time, I worked, I believe, at like a shrimp factory, like I helped process shrimp. And afterwards, I would get off at like 11 p.m. and drive home at night. I was looking at the sky And what I saw in the distance was these clouds that were glowing pink, that were blinking pink. And I decided, well, there seems like there's something odd in the sky. I'll continue until I get to those clouds. And I did. I happened to drive almost to where I was living at, a little bit past where I was living at, and I parked on the side of the road. It was a sort of deserted area. There wasn't really many houses. And what I saw was the cloud was blinking, and then it started blinking faster and faster and faster. And then um, this what's the word, barrel-shaped object floated out, like a short barrel, like some nickels stacked on top of each other. It was circular, and it was short. They had portals around it, like little portals, like on a boat. And underneath it was glowing. It was like a strong glow underneath it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. One, uh, uh, what's the word? Counter. I've heard somebody say, I'm pretty safe to say I'm a fan of what is his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he said he mentioned that a lot of times sightings are seen close to like at dusk or dawn because the way that the sunlight is skimming across the surface of the earth, it sort of lights upon like gas clouds that's coming off swamps, and we were near a swamp, so he might say, "Oh, that was probably like some kind of swamp gas cloud," and my perceptions were playing tricks on me. So I don't have any evidence out of the way, but that's what I saw. Seemed to be like a physical object that had floated out. Another time I had saw a cloud just like that. I was driving, same situation after work, and this time driving to the clouds, I had to drive to Lake Pontchartrain. I was living in New Orleans at the time, and I had to, pass up my exit and keep going and hit the lake. And there's like a dozen such clouds like this. Now this time I'm pretty sure it was well after when the sun set. And the interesting thing is I can't remember exactly if it was before or after, but that's my roommate. So I live in a dorm on campus. So I have in a dorm usually you have a roommate. You can get a single dorm, but they cost more. So I have a partner dorm where my bed is on one side and my partner's bed is on the other side. So that's probably who you saw come in just now. Why do you want me to do that? No, I won't do that. But to continue with the story, so I saw a dozen of these clouds, and the interesting thing is about I can't really recall if it's before or after that time. It could have been, can't remember before or after, but at one period of time, I had this jewelry business. I used to sell jewelry. I used to what do they call it? Something with a P. Paddle. I don't remember the exact word, but there's an official word for it where you can walk around and sell different words or what have you. And I don't know how I got on the topic with this guy, but he was telling me he volunteered to me that him and his friend used to go fishing all the time on Lake Pontchartrain, and and they saw the same thing. They saw this cloud just light up, and this huge thing was inside the cloud. And he said that they were just sitting there with their fishing poles, uh, just staring at it. And after a while, it went away, like the light went out. And they said, they just sat there for a while. And then he was like, did you see that? One of the other one was like, did you see that? It was like, yeah, did you see that? So it seems like exactly what I saw those times. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, and one other brief occurrence I had, I was driving at the time. I used to drive back and forth to Georgia a lot, and which was about but um, I don't know, 10, 11 hour drive from where I was living at the time. And I saw these two clouds. Hey, what's going on now, just Charlotte? Awesome. What makes you say that? And if you want, by the way, the Discord is up there. You can join the Discord as well, even though I forgot to put my headphones in. Where are my headphones at? Charging either. Hold up. Find those things real fast. And in case somebody did want to join, yeah, I'll charging. If you did want to talk about it as well, you can join the Discord, and we can chat. I believe in the Discord. Oh, it wasn't actually. It reminds me, I need to make a new the metaphysical hour in there too. The image for the Discord just has a science hour. I have to remember to change that. But if you want to join the Discord, you can go ahead and join and tell me about it. What would you say is the is no way, Eyes of Charlotte? One perspective. How would you say that you know that? Like how have you determined that to be the case that if they could get here, they wouldn't get caught or seen? In your opinion, like what is the basis for that conclusion? I'll make this uh pop a bit more smooth while I'm waiting for your reply. That looks a bit better. But I was going to talk a little bit about, okay, hold up. The technology to get here would be far better than ours. Well, that's true. It's clear that the technology to get here from a distant star would be far better than uh, ours, but to me, that doesn't seem to be any kind of evidence one way or the other of whether they exist. The technology to get from here to across the ocean is better than what it was, 1,000 years ago. So I don't think that in itself, just pointing out that technology would be better, means that they wouldn't be seen, even though it's possible. But another thing we have to keep in mind, maybe they want to be seen. There's something called first contact. We apparently have cloaking tech. Uh, Hence I heard about us having cloaking technology. Uh, could be true. Haven't heard of that one. And the mathematician says, I mean, they could be more advanced because they travel from other planets. They should travel at the speed of light, so they couldn't be seen if they travel so fast. Well, I would imagine that while they're traveling, they might not be able to be seen. But that's not to say that they couldn't be able to get seen while they're here. One of the things that comes to mind, and I'll see if I can find this real fast. There's something called the Drake equation, if I'm remembering the name properly, and it's a way of calculating the probability of there being extraterrestrial life in the universe. So let me see if I can find where I remember seeing this equation at. I believe it might be in my astronomy book. Sure. All right, so I'm gonna share this book really fast. And we'll take a look and see what this equation is talking about. So let me share my Kindle one more time. Got to change my uh hot back. Wow, that's huge. Right, so it says intelligent life in the galaxy, and it says, with humans apparently the only intelligent life in the solar system, we must broaden our search for extraterrestrial intelligence to other stars and perhaps even other galaxies. And this is the book Astronomy Today. It's one of the textbooks of one of my astronomy classes. At such distances, though, we have little hope of actually detecting life with current equipment. Instead, we must ask how likely is it that life in any form, carbon-based, silicon-based, water-based, ammonia-based, or something we cannot even dream of exists. I like how they say silicon-based. Let's look at some numbers to develop estimates of the probability of life elsewhere in the universe. The Drake equation. So this is an equation to help try to answer that question of probability. It says an earlier approach to this problem is known as the Drake equation after the U.S. astronomer who pioneered the analysis below. It attempts to express the probability of life in our galaxy in terms of specific factors with roots in astronomy, biology, and anthropology. Of course, several of the factors in this formula are largely a matter of opinion. Do not have nearly enough information to determine even approximately every factor in the equation, so the Drake equation cannot give us a hard and fast answer. And if we look at the top, it says the number of technologically advanced civilizations present in the universe. So this is basically what the probability thereof we're trying to find. So rate of star formation over the average light over the averaged over the lifetime of the galaxy. In other words, how many stars would there be in the galaxy at any time that can support life, like our sun, or like they mentioned, different types of life, maybe a different type of star that could support a different type of life, like maybe farther away from the star, what have you. Fractions of stars having planetary systems, because not every star has a planetary system. The star may jettison all of the gas and dust around it and they don't form. Average number of habitable planets. So out of all the stars that's there and all the planetary systems that's there, how many habitable planets are in those systems by any other type of life, even if it's not carbon life? Fraction of those habitable planets on which life arises. So basically, you have stars, planets, habitable planets, and even if it's habitable, all the conditions favorable for life. Fractions of those life-bearing planets on which intelligence evolves. So maybe there's intelligence, but it's not. Maybe it's life, but not intelligent. Fraction of those intelligent life planets that develop a technological society. Like, are they technological? Are they not? Are they intelligent but just stay a gregarian type culture? An average lifetime of a technologically competent civilization. In other words, do they destroy themselves before they have time to hear from another civilization that's in existence? So I thought this equation was pretty interesting, and it's just one of the things that can point out the not only the intricacy, but what I think the likelihood of there being life. Because, like I was saying before, uh, if you look at the deep galaxy, I mean the deep universe, everything is the same, it's homogeneous and isotropic. So being that life form here is very likely, from a certain perspective at least, that because the universe is so the same everywhere, that those conditions can form elsewhere and likely have. And given that there's so many galaxies and so many stars, more than we can see, it seems very likely. Let me look at and see what some of the comments have come in. Eyes of Charlotte says aliens are like Bigfoot, tinfoil hat stuff. Ah, this is one way to look at it. Imagination, though, should be encouraged. The mathematician, Voyager 1 has not made any contact with alien life. However, it carries a golden record with sounds, music, and images from Earth in case it is ever found by intelligent life. So far, no alien signals. Yeah, that's pretty cool that they did that with Voyager. Our responses have been received. I agree. One of my favorite movies, by the way, is this movie called Contact. It had Jodie Foster in it, and it's based off a book. I think the movie is better than the book. Very rarely do I find a movie or a TV show or whatever better than the book, but this one is better than the book to me. But basically, what happens is there's a an organization that really exists called the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Apparently, they're pointing telescopes out and trying to capture radio signals. And what happens is she captures a radio signal. I'll talk about the movie version. And what it turns out is this signal is sending out prime numbers, so they know it's an intelligent signal. It's not random. And then this signal sends technology, designs for a technology that allows her to visit them. And then I'll let the twists and turns come from there. But I thought it was a pretty interesting movie. It's one of my favorite movies. And one thing I will say, by the way, the mathematician, perhaps, like right now, for instance, we use cell phones a lot. So let's say if there was a planet, if there was a civilization on Mars right now trying to contact us with smoke signals, we probably won't catch that on our cell phones, right? Of course, we don't receive smoke signals on our reception, and even if we try to take a picture with our camera, it'll likely be too small to see. So I think is very one idea as well is the fact that a civilization that's advanced enough to come here may not still be using radio signals. Maybe there's a more advanced type of signal that they use. One of my favorite books now, this book I read called The Three Body Problem, is a fiction book, but they imagine utilizing gravitational waves to communicate. I believe before that they utilized, I don't remember what they utilized before that. Maybe neutrinos or something. I don't know. But I know at one point they ended up using gravitational waves, which we do have gravitational wave detectors now. That's probably why that idea came. So I think it's possible there can be intelligent life that's not necessarily using, radio waves. Therefore, even if they are broadcasting in whatever way, maybe we don't have the technology to capture what they're broadcasting, and they stop using the technology that we're broadcasting, just like how we don't normally speak in smoke signals anymore. The mathematician says Mars, the Moon, and other planets have been explored with landers and rovers, but none have shown signs of life. Yeah, uh, I think though, I agree with the idea that there was life on Mars. One idea is that there was life on Mars. When we explore there enough, we'll start to find signs of life there, and that life migrated from there to here. Of course, no evidence of that, but the idea is intriguing. If aliens are out there, why haven't we seen any sign of them? Well, that brings me to some of my other things, some other interesting things that I found. So one of them is, let me share an image here. Put this in a format that, oh, no, this is in the wrong spot. I think I saved this one in a format that doesn't show. See where I downloaded this image to. I forgot to download it. Maybe I forgot to download it. See, okay, I think this is the best one. So this one, right? So this is something called the Phoenix Lights. I remember this. This happened around a time when I was very into UFOs and stuff. I believe it was 1997. And what happened was there was this uh, big giant sighting uh, over Phoenix, Arizona, apparently over the whole state, where this formation of lights moved around the entire state. One of the interesting things about it was that the we knew where it was because there was a series of 911 calls that was apparently trailing the sighting, saying something is in the sky. There's been a few things that uh, the wow signal. I'll mention that momentarily. There's a few interesting things about it. Like some people were trying to say it was military flares, but they kind of debunked it by saying by pointing out the fact that the lights moved around the entire state for like hours. And also, there's some places that are higher and lower than others. Apparently, witnesses came forward that was on like ridges or their houses was on mountains and things like that who spoke about the sort of eerie nature of the lights that formed the thing. It was sort of like orbs. So I thought that was a pretty interesting sighting that happened. It's probably like the biggest one I could think of where there was a whole lot of people that was seeing this phenomenon. Another interesting thing about it was people were pointing out the fact that it blocked out light in the shape of a sort of boomerang. So like you can see the lights in the sky, but when it went over you, there's stars in the sky, and as the thing moved, you can see the shape blocking out the stars behind it. So you couldn't actually see what it was, but you can see a width to it that was blocking the stars as it moved along. And the little lights that we see were sort of orbs on this boomerang type shape. So I always thought that that was a pretty cool sighting. It seemed like a valid one to me. Another few things I wanted to mention. Let me see if any other chats came up. Okay. Tradition says, I think God created the universe and he would end this, but I have no proof. And he says, the wow signal, a strong signal from space that lasted 72 seconds, never repeated. So I haven't heard of the wow signal before. The idea does seem sort of familiar, but I can't really say I can place it. Wow signal. Okay. Signal represent. Oh, interesting. So apparently it was used to support the search for extraterrestrial intelligence because the fact that there was this signal that was never repeated, so it made it seem less like it was some kind of natural phenomena. Last two things I'll mention, and is these two books. One of my favorite books on UFOs is this book called Fire in the Sky. I had mentioned this guy last week. See, last week, I mean yesterday, when we were talking about it. But this guy was a logger, like he cut down trees for a living. And what happened is him and his fellow work buddies were uh, were out, doing their log thing. And then when it was time to leave, they happened to see a light in the sky, what they called a fire in the sky. And this fire, this light, so it was like a group of them. It was like what, seven of them, eight of them, all in the pickup truck. And what happened is Travis Walton, that's the guy who got hit, who's getting hit by that light right there. Travis Walton, he decided to get out the car and go to the object, this sort of disc-shaped object. And what they saw was this beam of light, like we see in here, hit him and knocked him into the air and sent them like 20, 30 feet away. And his friends thought they were dead. They got in the car and left. And what made this sighting so prominent is that he was gone. Like the guys went back to the town and they were like, "Hey, our friend, they're telling them what happened." And they're like, they thought they killed him. They thought, "Oh my gosh, these guys killed Travis Walton," and now they're trying to cover it up, saying it's some kind of UFO or something. So all of them was being investigated for murder, right? And Travis Walton didn't come back until like 7 days later. So, they combed the woods, they did all the investigation stuff. Nobody could find him. He was gone. And then 7 days later, they found him again. I think he called from a phone booth, and he told the tale of being abducted and seeing aliens. And the book is quite interesting and it's illustrated. Like he apparently worked with an artist to draw some of the things he saw. Seemed like a pretty compelling story. Like one of the things with him was he took like lie detector tests. I believe the other guys took lie detector tests. I'm not sure about the other ones, but I'm sure he did. And I thought it was a pretty compelling story. It's one of my favorite stories. Now, there is a movie called Fire in the Sky. The movie is horrible. They don't match the book. I guess up until the part he gets abducted, they might match it a little bit, but the movie is horrible. So I wouldn't suggest watching the movie if you want to know what it's talking about. And one more book. I haven't read this full book, but I like the uh, I like the author. He's dead now. He died like many years ago. But an interesting thing about this guy, the author of The Coming of Tan, he actually took a picture of their craft. Apparently, he had like several sightings and interactions, and we wouldn't call them abductions because he went willingly. But one of the times he took a Polaroid picture of it, and I probably have it saved somewhere because you should be able to still go to his site and download it. But it's a Polaroid picture, and you can see the disc in the distance. But his story is even, I mean, it's really too long for me to even go into uh, reasonably, except to talk about the fact that he had several sightings and also had a picture to go with it. But they're two of my some of my favorite books on the topic. The mathematician says, "Is the three errant signals? Was it you, the one who captured it? Three errant signals. If you're talking about the image I had up, no, that's just an image I downloaded. If I recall, around the time of the Phoenix Light sightings, there were also sightings of orbs. Uh, if that's what you meant, the images in that. And is it possible to time travel? Yeah, we had talked about that one of the previous weeks. I believe it's possible. I don't have any evidence for it, but I guess I'm one of the ones who think that I don't really see a limit to how far we can develop technologically and how far we can understand the universe and master the laws of the universe. So if there's not a being in the or civilization in the universe that can time travel now, I believe that there could be that it could be developed, just like how we can travel through space. Just like how we know now space and time are linked. They're like different aspects of the same thing. So I believe that there'll come a point in time if we still exist, we don't destroy ourselves, that we'll develop the ability to manipulate time. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about with the topic. I know a few people were asking about the UFOs, so I figured I have a show and maybe we can talk about this metaphysical topic regularly if people are interested in it. Crack my back. So anybody have any questions, any comments before I close up in a bit? Let me know of any metaphysical topics that you all might be interested in. Like pretty much the main metaphysical topics I've been into in my life were aliens, UFOs. I researched that a lot, read a lot about it and stuff, as well as the out of body experience. I read about that, talked about that. Oh well, let me know what questions you have or what would you like to hear more about on the mathematician. I can stay on a bit more, but those are the two main things I'm versed in, as well as spirituality. Like I mentioned, spirituality as well. Like study various forms of spirituality, and at least in theory. I mean, I'm feel nowhere near enlightened. Oh, I won't include him into the talk at all. So I'll just let him do his thing. We don't like I've never really had him on my streams or anything like that. So I'll just let him do his thing. I won't include him into it at all. Um, but out of body experiences, that's probably the metaphysical topic I was the most familiar with because I started having those when I was a kid. And it was many years before I even realized that it was a thing. I just thought that it's something that everybody did because it's just something I did when I was small. It just started happening. Uh, and spirituality, I think I was always in a search for the meaning of life, which my experience I found. Uh, Not to say that I'm anywhere near enlightenment. I have a lot of work to do, But the theory behind it and understanding of it, I have a firm handle on it. I'm just working on getting better at my practice. But also, you have mathematician. Any other questions? Any other comments? Mathematician says, "Do you think our technology will make it to travel at the speed of light?" Yeah, I believe so. I don't know how long it'll take, but yeah, I think we will get there. I think it's only a matter of time if we don't destroy ourselves, if we begin to recognize ourselves as one human race, as one people. Pretty sure that'll go a long way towards us collaborating and and spending less time fighting and uh, wasting a lot of time and energy in conflict. And I think as we start to unify more, because these are very big questions, maybe not one person can answer it. Not a religion in the religious sense do I believe in God. Like I study A Course in Miracles. My understanding is that God has nothing to do with this universe at all. It's something totally beyond this universe. So the whole religious idea about a God that created the world, no, I don't believe in that. Y'all have any topics y'all would like for future ones? Would y'all like to see this show every week, or maybe once a month is enough, or what have you? What do you think of the bloop sound? When you say the bloop sound, you mean the wow signal? The wow signal thing again. Uh, I can't say I really know about that one. Uh, but I mean, I could believe that there's something in the ocean. I mean, I've in the course of my investigations into the ET UFO topic, I've run into the idea of a what is it? Is it I believe it's called a USO, unidentified submerged object. But basically, there's like a water version of a UFO where people see this objects going in and out of the ocean, sometimes very large objects. So I think it's very possible that there could be something down there, which reminds me of another one of my favorite movies called dang, what is that movie called? It's been so long. Not Cocoon. I keep thinking of The Abyss. That's the one. The Abyss. In this movie called The Abyss, there's this alien race apparently that's living like deep underneath the ocean, and this oil rig. Is it an oil rig? I don't know what kind of device it is. Maybe it's a scientific underwater research facility, but there's some deep underwater man-made facility that ends up making contact with these beings. And it's a pretty good movie. I liked it. What's SAT training? Oh, SAT, you talking about not metaphysical stuff, just the regular stuff. Yeah, sure. We could do that. You mean SAT, the SAT class. Yeah. What day would you like to meet? What do you mean for 7 day? Why don't we just not do anything? Why don't we all just not tutor you and we could just I'll just, answer your questions here. Why don't we just not try to do anything anymore? And I'll just do like I normally do. And if you have a question about something, I could spend a few minutes giving you a hint on something. So let's just do that, and let's just not have a tutoring relationship. Anybody else have any other questions or comments about anything before I close up? And by the way, I am open for any suggestions or ideas about uh, uh, any topics y'all would like to discuss in the future on metaphysics. So if anybody watches later, you can let me know, and you could just make a reply on my
Hi,
post
friends.
page on the site. Oh, hold up. Looks like it looks like called posts. It used to be called community, but now it's called posts. So if y'all do come up with an idea of what you'd like to hear on this topic, if you'd like to still hear topics like this more, let me know. I'll still have the science hour on Friday, excuse me, on Saturdays, and we'll keep going from there. So thank y'all for showing up. It's always good seeing you, the mathematician. And I'll look for you this Saturday for the science hour again, and uh, Sunday for the metaphysical hour. If y'all are still interested, y'all have a good one.